Okay, I just want to give you this little story, friends. It just came to me, and before it leaves my head, as many of them do, I want to get this one out. I may have done this once, but it'll be so far back in the archives you'd never see it. It was about my granddad. I had a grandfather, my father's father, who he and grandma owned a log cabin on Lake Lenape. Yeah, Lake Lenape, near Andover, New Jersey. And they'd go there in the summer. That's where they would spend the summer. They had another home in Elizabeth, and in the colder months they were down there. But when they were at Lake Lenape, I'd often go up there to visit them for 2 or 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. It was nice. And they had a little boat. I could go fishing. There was a beach. You could go to the beach. There was a spot where you could sit and have a malted milk or something. It was nice. At Lake Lenape, it was pretty cool. The fishing, I think, was the thing I liked the best, out on the boat, the rowboat. But anyway, so here I am. I'm about 5, 6 years old, give or take, and might have been 4. I don't know. I was pretty young compared to what I am now. Whew. So anyway, so I shimmy up the ladder with Granddad right behind me in case I were to slip somehow. He was there to catch me. We get up to the roof. I have to step onto the roof from the ladder. That took some nerve for me, because we were probably up about 8 feet high, 8 or 9 feet high at that point. Granddad gets on the roof. He says, "Okay, now give me your hand, and we'll go slowly up to the top of the peak of the roof." And he said, "I got to show you something, because you can't see it from down on the ground, but when you're up higher, you can." That was what was so cool about when I was a pilot. And Granddad was a pilot in World War One. World War One, for crying out loud. No, I don't think he got into combat, but he was a pilot. And of course, my father was. Me, I never got to do that. Although I did drive an ambulance, and I don't know, I think sometimes that was pretty hairy. And worked in an ambulance. It was tough at times. Actually quite dangerous to get right down to it. Not so much on the road, but at the scene sometimes it was a little tough if there had been shootings. But in any case, that beside the point. I walked slowly up the roof with Granddad, and he says, "Look, you see how now you can see over the mountain and out into the, well, way far away?" I said, "Yeah, that's cool." And he says, this is what you would see when you were taking off in an airplane. All of a sudden, you'd be down on the ground, then all of a sudden you could start seeing further and further and further away. I just thought you'd like to see that. I said, yeah. He says, "Well, look across. Do you see anything special?" I'm looking. Well, I said, "I can see the lake, and you can darn near see almost all of the lake from here." "Yeah," he says, "you can see the boat." "Yeah, I see. Gosh, yeah, I see where the boat's kept. Wow." And he said, "Okay, now look over the mountain. What else?" Well, I see I said, "Oh my gosh, way off." He said, "Way off." I said, rather, "Way off, there's like 2 mountains, but it's like someone cut a hole in them." He says, "Well, you know what that is?" I said, "No. But it's big mountains. I mean, for so far away." He says, "That's the Delaware Water Gap. We're about 30, 40 miles from there. 30 miles anyway. And look, you can see it." I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's pretty cool to get up on higher ground, isn't it?" I said, "You betcha." Wow. I said, "So the water gap's over there." And I think at that point in my life, I had never seen the water gap. "Oh, Granddad," I said, could we go?" He says, "Well, yeah. Come on, let's go down. We'll go. I wanted you to see it. And now we're going to go look. We're going to go right up to it." So he gets carefully, he says, "Now be careful. That's a ledge." I said, "Yeah, I know. Don't run." "Oh, no, I'm not. Walk slow, little steps." I've got to get on the ladder first. Then I'll grab your hand, and like just in reverse, we'll get down the ladder. we'll go tell Grandma what we're doing, and we'll go see the water gap. And that's just what we did. Oh, I remember seeing that. And all that mountain. Oh, I can't go by that mountain, that part of road, that part of the highway, without darn near getting choked up every time, thinking of Granddad or other people I've taken to see that site. Eventually, I did climb the water gap. Not the cliff part, but different other trails where actually you could get all the way to the top. And it's pretty impressive up there. But that was long after Granddad had passed away. He told me there was a path up there. I think he called it the Appalachian Trail, which I think is up there. So, I'm certain it is. That's how I got up the side of the mountain. But he was always good at doing that kind of thing, just kind of showing you the ropes, shall we say. No, he taught me how to play gin rummy pretty good, but I think, and solitaire. But the big thing for me, and how to fish. Gosh, he taught me a lot of stuff. Well, he was Granddad. That's what Granddads do. And but I remember going to see that water gap. I didn't know what to do. It was just so cool. Neat. Anyway, I thought you'd like that. Okay, catch you later. I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know if we climbed down off the roof and then didn't go to the water gap for a few weeks, but I know sometime in my lifetime, Granddad saw to it that I saw the water gap, up close and personal. At that point, he might have been too old to walk up it, but we saw it. And I remember that being pretty cool, now that I think back. But, and I've been there many times since. But, oh, gosh. Yeah, it's nice to have a granddad. It's nice to be one. Got to remember that. I'll catch you later. God bless. Actually, wait a minute. I think I did take my granddaughter Sadie there. I think I did. Oh, if not there, some other mountain. I'm almost certain. Anyway, see you later, friends. God bless.